Hello and welcome to another episode of the Sports Art Podcast. This week we've seen a few football leagues come to an end with some interesting results. The return of indoor and outdoor sports and bars in the UK, which obviously meant the return of our five-a-side football. And can I say I played shit? And a few of us weren't there. And I posted in our group chat saying how good it was to be back and I played shit. To which Mitchell responded, "What's new?" So if you ever want supportive friends, do not join our group chat. And some people killed it. Like Benji was on fire on Thursday. For those who don't know who Benji is Mitchell's better looking little brother and a better footballer.
I'll take half of that, right?
Jai.
We also
Yeah.
seen Saul Bamba revealing that he is now cancer free. So a massive congratulations to him from the Sports Art podcast. And we also have now started seeing a true hype picking up about the Euros, with your cartoon adverts and all that. So talking about the Euros, England is still due to pick their squad, but Scotland has already picked theirs, and I'll ask Martin to lead us in this topic.
Right, so I reckon Scotland are actually in a good place just now. I think we've got a decent squad. We've got a good spine to the team. It's basically working towards 3 games. We've got Czech Republic, England, and Croatia. Clarke has came out and said we're not there to make up numbers. We're wanting to get through this group. It's not an easy group. England and Croatia are decent teams. Looking through the squad, I'm reasonably happy with what we picked. I think going to a 26-man squad as opposed to a 23-man squad, we've been able to add a couple of players that maybe wouldn't originally been added. First of all, I want to talk about the squad and if Steve Clarke's picked the right players. I think somebody that mentioned on the group chat was James. James, what do you think of the squad that was put forward?
I thought it was an okay squad. I don't think there was many players who are Scottish you could add to the squad to improve it. So that's usually a good sign. But the one name that I was disappointed not to be in there was Ryan Gauld. I think he's had a very good season in Portugal. And I think that he's missed out because he's playing in a foreign league. I think his goal return this season has been very good. I think it's something like 9 goals and 16 assists or something along those lines, which is very good. And yeah, against the Czech Republic, who are more likely to play defensive, it would be good to have somebody with that bit of creative spark. We have David Turnbull, who I'm very happy to see there because he can take a set piece at Scotland's height. That will be very beneficial. But I think Ryan Gauld would be the one player I would say that should have been in the squad to give us that something different that nobody else can offer.
I tend to agree slightly. Ryan Gauld was on loan at Hibs a couple of years ago, so sort of saw him a little bit. He is something different from what we have. When you look through the list of the midfielders, we've got McTominay, McGregor, Gilmore, Armstrong, McGinn, Fleck, Turnbull, Forrest, if you want to call him midfielder. I think Gauld would add something different.
Even call Forrest a footballer.
Wait, Gavin's got an opinion. Gavin.
Well, last time Ryan Gauld took himself off Portugal. Last time I saw him, he had the long hair. He was attempting to grow a beard. He looked like a rock and roll singer. It didn't work for him. He was a big prospect at Dundee United, and then he went away. He kind of fell off the map. Yes, he's done good this season. It's been a long time coming. He's had a similar hype to him at a young age as what Billy Gilmore's had just now. I think Billy Gilmore completely deserves his place in the Scotland squad. In terms of the wingers like Fraser and Forrest, Clarke hasn't played with wingers much. And I just don't think there's a lot of point in having the wingers there if they're not going to get used in the positions that they should be getting used in, as in on the wing.
Because Clarke's basically set out now for a 3-5-2. So your wingers are wing backs. So
But he's only played predominantly with one striker.
Yeah.
As much as
So,
I think us as Scotland fans would love to see Dykes and Adams playing together.
Yeah.
There is no. He's not going to have the wingers are just going to be a case of we're chucking everything at it, and I don't see much point in having the wingers in the selection, to be honest.
I think the wingers end up being strikers to come on and change things. I don't. There's not really number 10s within the wingers that you can take a winger, put in the middle of the park and see him running for the centre of the park. That they are, Matt Fraser and Forrest are mainly wide players. I like the fact that Steve Clarke's got his formation. He's picked what he's want. We can set ourselves on that. We're extremely strong middle of the park. We're strong on the left side, especially defensively on the left side. Tierney and Robertson arguably probably our best players. Right hand side, I think O'Donnell's probably our best option. I think we could do with a better right sided wing back. But I think on the whole, decent squads. I think it mainly picks itself though. What's your thoughts, Mitchell?
I think the most awkward part for Clarke when it comes to selection will be the goalkeeper. Because David Marshall, yes, sir, he can boogie. But he's not played the last few games for Derby. He got dropped for them in their survival battle. And then the next choice would be Craig Gordon, which, in all fairness to him, he's played Scottish Championship, which isn't exactly the greatest of standards.
Yes.
Then McLaughlin's been on the bench for Rangers for the full season effectively, so not had much game time.
There is other Scottish goalies. I think McLaughlin's just been put in there because he's been. It gets to the point that you just get the goalkeepers comfortable with who's there. It's going to be a first. I would assume it'd be Marshall. I would agree. Since Gavin's off screen for a second, Gordon is a great goalie. I'm not saying that while he's here, and he's on the cusp of being sort of one of the best Scottish goalies there is just now. But Marshall's, because of what he's done for Scotland recently, I think you pick your goalkeeper and you stick with him internationally. You give him the number one. You put faith in him, a bit of confidence, and if he's going to consistently produce for Scotland, then you keep him in there.
I also think Marshall probably slightly edges it in ball distribution because as much as Gordon is a fantastic shot stopper, he cannot pass up. He can not pass a ball to save himself.
I think sometimes you play better as internationally than you do sometimes with club anyway. So I think Marshall might just not be gelling with his team in Derby that much at the moment. But with the Scottish success, I think it's just that kind of team camaraderie already getting so far, or whatever. So I think might be.
I would always argue that it depends on the style of football you're playing with your team and with your country. With your team, there's been certain players who have done a lot better with their country than they have with their club team. James McFadden, for example, he's done a lot better for Scotland than he has done club form. And I think Marshall's got to be there. Look, Marshall's a much better than Gordon. Gordon's pish compared to Marshall. And I think that's the way you've got to keep Marshall also.
I think after that, when you look at the back line, I think the two surprises, but Liam Cooper and Declan Gallagher, I'm sure, are they not both injured currently?
I think so. Declan Gallagher is Motherwell, and he is.
James is shaking his head. I feel like he might know the answer to this.
What was the question?
I don't think it's Declan Gallagher's Motherwell, and he's signed with Aberdeen for next year. Yeah. I think he might have been. He spent a couple of weeks injured. Yeah. I actually think, to be fair, just now with the centre half position is a lot stronger than we have been previously. Even though Hanley's been on the scene for a while, he's been pished for a lot of the time, but he's actually with Norwich just now. He's been pretty decent.
He'll be all right if he actually sings the national anthem this time, though.
I like Cooper mainly, and then you've got the choice of Gallagher, Henry, McKenna's there.
You're missing out on the clear choice for right centre back, because Steve Clarke for some reason feels like playing McTominay all the time. Which,
Well, McTominay's not the centre back.
Well, he has done a few times. I think what Clark's tried to do is include all his best players. And when there wasn't a position for McTominay in midfield, you put him in defence.
I think with the amount of defenders that have been selected, McTominay is a centre mid now.
Yes, I think
if you look at the selection, there's so many defenders. 10
defenders selected and 7 midfielders. Obviously, your defenders are sort of pulling in your wing back positions as well. But talking about midfielders and McTominay, let's just talk through the team and who we think our first choice team would be to play the 3 games, because I'd hope that we've put that through. So goalkeeper wise, I take it everybody's Marshall.
Alan McGregor.
Other than Gav, who's Craig Gordon, so we're just going to outvote him.
I genuinely think it's a surprise that Alan McGregor never got a call. I would love to know if he got asked.
He can fuck off.
I know you, Martin. We already know your opinion on him at the moment with Scotland, with regards to Scotland. But I would like to know whether or not he got a phone call from Steve Clarke saying, "Would you consider it?" Personally, it would be an interesting thing to find out because of his form this season.
I would agree with his form this season. I think, although he's not given credit for it, the way Rangers have played this season, they haven't been the best team every game they've played, and he has gained them a lot of points this season. I don't know if it's unnoticed. I think it has been noticed to a degree, but I don't think everybody's taken into account how many points he's actually gained them throughout the course of the year. So, yes, as far as the best Scottish goalkeeper on form this season, McGregor's probably the best on form, but he's a prick. So that's not happening.
Out the keepers picked, I would say Craig Gordon.
Marshall. So Marshall is in.
Have you seen how Derby have played this year?
Yes, and he stayed
how
up.
many goals has he conceded?
How many saves has he made though? Derby have been pitched.
I was going to say, you look at
again. If you're looking at form here, Martin, you can't just sit and contradict yourself and sit and say about McGregor's form and how many points he's won. If you look at form, we're still looking at form here.
Yeah,
Gordon is, if he's not level with Marshall, he's pushing him to the fucking limits about who's going to be number 1 for the Euros.
So what league is Gordon playing in?
That's besides the point. that is besides the point. If we're looking on pure form.
Nah, no having it. So 3 against 2.
Argument about passing distribution.
Yes.
If you were talking about Celtic or Barcelona and all that, yeah, but when you're Scotland and you're lumping the ball up the park, it doesn't make much difference. So put the best shot stopper in, and that is Craig Gordon.
For reaction saves, the amount of reaction saves Craig Gordon's made this year, and the amount of top class reaction saves that he's made this year, I think he has to be in the team.
And one final point I'm going to make is the team that I support, look at the collapse that they have had goalkeeper-wise with Craig Gordon not being there.
James, don't turn around and say the team that I support when literally 30 seconds ago you just said Celtic.
Tried his best not to mention it.
Moving on.
Look at what Celtic had goalkeeper position after Craig Gordon left.
I reckon Gordon could have still been at Celtic, and I'm well aware that the distribution thing is a factor, and I'm not being there. But moving forward, 3 centre halves. I think we're all taking account we're going to be playing a 3-5-2. Centre half has been a massive issue with us. over the last while. Hanley has been one of the ones that has been an issue. His time at Blackburn and stuff, but obviously he's came onto a game and be with Norwich, won the league. What's everybody's feelings on the centre halves to have three of them?
If Hanley can sing the national anthem, he can stay in the starting squad. If not, get him to fuck. Sorry, to make James happy. The national sporting anthem.
I love that.
The national sporting anthem of Scotland. Oh, yeah.
No, he's still angry. We said national. Sorry, the sporting anthem. Get a smile from him.
Not
Still
happening.
no smile. Still
When
no
it
smile.
comes to Scottish centre backs,
Aye, it's a quagmire. I mean, they aren't exactly the highest quality. It's one of our weakest positions, and Steve Clarke's kind of went with a formation that would have three of them in there.
if you play three at the back, it's because you've not got two good centre backs.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, I would rather
Well,
play Dykes there because of
that's an extreme viewpoint on that, James.
Maybe
I was
another.
going to say Belgium play three at the back at times. They have pretty good centre backs. I'm sure Netherlands play three at the back occasionally as well. Not to mention Chelsea play three at the back, and I'd say we've got some pretty good centre backs as well.
How did they play against Aston Villa?
Fair point. To be fair though, under Tuchel with the three at the back.
I think it's turned into a style of play more than anything else.
I tend to find, see with the three at the back, I always thought it's like, see if you play three at the back for defensive reasons, it hurts you more than anything else. Three at the back I find is always more of an attacking formation, because it gives you the incentive to push the full-backs on. You have one holding and you've got the other centre mid who can bomb from box to box.
Do you think Scotland should be like a defending side, or should it be like an attacking side, like Mitchell was saying?
I think
like,
it will be an attacking side.
Do you think?
I like the 3-5-2 because you have two different formations. You have your formation with the ball, you have the formation without the ball. Obviously, you've got the transfer in time there with you losing the ball at the park and how quickly everybody's got to get back into shape. But you can have five across the back and drop a striker into midfield to press. So you're only sitting with one up front, four across the middle, and five across the back. And it's extremely hard to break down at that point. But you have it's a structure thing. It has to be trained. It has to be well implemented. We'll see it pretty well.
I think if you're talking about
Sometimes.
Scotland playing with the three at the back, the strongest sort of connection that we can have with the three of them is going to have to be Cooper, Gallagher, and then Hanley.
Tierney.
Tierney on the left, yeah.
I would have Tierney playing as a wing back.
Where'd you have
So
Robertson then?
where would you put Robertson exactly?
He's not good enough.
See, I think
Only plays for one of the
I'll
best
give you a
teams
chance to
in,
rethink that, Gav.
in England.
So
if
you're
we're
having
doing
Robertson
that-
on the bench.
If we're doing that, then you have Robertson at starting. Then you have Tierney as the left centre back. Which one of the three miss out?
I think you've got to have Cooper and Hanley. Tierney's a stick one. Tierney's got to be there. Whether you have Tierney at centre half or you have him at wing back, he's
Where did you
definitely
have
in the team.
Robertson, did you say, Gav?
And the left wing back.
Right, okay.
So if you have, I think Robertson's a stick one for left wing back, and Tierney I like because it can be a left-handed centre back who hopefully can push forward, and whoever sitting midfielder will sit in. You didn't like to lose that in Tierney's game. Tierney is good at pushing forward and getting crosses in. I actually think he's probably one of Scotland's best players. So you have to include him in it. So it's who's alongside Tierney as the two centre halves.
I think Gallagher played well in the last round of fixtures. I think he deserves a starting position.
Well, Jack Hendry, who made Team of the Year in Belgium.
Went on a rampage calling people spaceships and all that jazz.
Basically,
But then you've got Cooper as well. Cooper at Leeds.
Leeds captain.
Leeds captain. I know they concede a lot of goals, but he's playing against the best. He's playing in the Premiership against the best players in the world. I like Cooper. And then you've got Hanley, who has went through the Championship and they've won the league. There is, although it's a problem position, there is opportunities and possibilities for players. So, who are the two? What two would you go with, James?
Probably. Oh, okay.
Shahan.
no, James, on you go, James.
I'll put Tierney on the left, Cooper in the middle, and Hendry on the right.
Gav.
I'm going to go with Tierney, Cooper, and Gallagher.
Shahan.
Tierney, Cooper, and Hanley.
Yeah, I'm going to be the odd one out here.
Mitchell.
Tierney, surprise, surprise. I'm going to go with Hanley than Hendry, just because I feel Cooper the last few weeks hasn't featured for Leeds. I want to say that,
Right.
so I feel like he might be, if it's going back into that sort of level of football, might be a bit of a, shouldn't not shock to the system, but he's not played for about a month or something like that. I could be wrong, and I'm assuming someone will correct me if I am.
Bielsa's just keeping him fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep him fresh if you play against England. So I would go with Cooper and Hanley. So that would give us Tierney, Cooper, and equal votes for Hanley and Henry. So right wing back. Like left wing back's obvious. Nobody's not going to say Robertson. He's the squad captain, Champions League winner and league winner in England. Although I don't think he's performed overly well for Scotland.
Scotland. I think we've got to say this season.
No, the second half of the season done pretty well. For Scotland, he's not done as well. Obviously, he's not been played around on the same calibre. So left wing back.
You mean right wing back?
Sorry, right wing back.
James Forrest. There you go. Throwing it out there.
Possibility.
For Celtic and played it well.
I would actually say Matt Fraser.
Ryan Fraser, even.
Ryan Fraser. Matt Fraser's a different player.
I've let it go once, but couldn't do it twice.
Yeah.
See, I'm torn between Forrest and Fraser. I feel like
O'Donnell's played there a lot for Scotland.
O'Donnell's played there the last few internationals, and again, someone who has been very impressive the last few games playing there in that role.
I've never been admired his playing that much when he's played there. I've always felt he's always a bit lacking. There's always something just missing from his play.
I think he lacks in terms of his final product and his
ability.
Control. But I think in general, I think he is a decent option to have there. If, like as I said, Forrest, if he can adapt well to the role in the way that Scotland play, although he's played there for Celtic, can he adapt well in the way that Scotland play and will set up to play, then he could be an option. But I would say O'Donnell would be the easy first choice for that role for the first game at least.
So O'Donnell for you, Gav. Mitchell?
Yeah.
I'd go with, I'm going to go. Let's go with James here and go with Forrest.
Okay. Shahan?
We'll go with Gavin, going to go with O'Donnell.
O'Donnell.
Can I throw in Bruce's vote, because I know who he'd vote for?
Nathan Patterson.
Yes.
That didn't help us any. So we got 2 votes for Forrest and 2 votes for O'Donnell. So that's between the two of them for that position.
So what about you,
Martin?
What about you, Martin?
Fraser. I'd go with Fraser.
Sit on the fence, why don't you? That's Shaffer's job.
I would lean towards Forrest over O'Donnell. But I think Forrest has the tendency to only play 60 minutes and then sort of drifts through games. James will probably shake his head at that, but
He hasn't played that much either, anyway. So.
I think I would want to go with an attacking team that actually pushes teams players back. I think Forrest would do that more than O'Donnell. I picked Fraser, although Fraser's more of a Forrest than a O'Donnell. So I'm going to overrule everybody and we'll put Forrest in. So centre of the park. Centre of the park seems to be our strongest position. We have McGinn and McTominay, who are both, well, obviously McTominay's at Man United, still playing. He's playing alongside Fred, who's pitched. McGinn, I'm pretty sure a couple of the Chelsea fans watched the game today, although I think his distribution wasn't the greatest at times. He's a thorn in the side. He presses. He probably should have scored a goal that he had a shot for outside hopes early on that he missed the target with, winning the ball off a Kovacic, whatever his name is. Kovacic, that's one. So I think, who do we think is going to be there? Who's going to be in the three?
Three now, isn't it?
Yeah. I'll go it there first.
Gav's got to put his hands up. He's in there.
I'm ready for this. I'm going for the three mix.
Mix.
I'm having McGregor, McTominay, and McGinn. I think McGinn, he's a manager's dream. As much as I hate to say it, he's a manager's dream. He does the dirty work. He plays where you want him to play. No questions asked. He will work hard for the team. I'm looking forward to seeing McTominay up against Souček in the Czech Republic match. That'll be a great battle. Man-to-man battle should be amazing. And then McGregor, he's not had the best season this season, but he seems to always perform for Scotland.
So what way would you have?
Agree with me at all.
What way would you have then? Would you have one sitting, two pressing, two sitting, one going?
I'd have McTominay sitting further back and McGregor and McGinn further up as a kind of wee triangle type thing. McTominay not too far back because he does have a long range shot in him, similar to the other two. They can all hit from outside the box, I think. Again, McGregor on a good day will hit the back of the net. On a bad day, he'll do a Ryan Christie and it'll go into orbit. But I do think one of the McTominay sitting the two further ahead. I think that's probably the strongest three as a flat three, because the way you're saying it is a 3-5-2, whereas I think Steve Clarke will play a 3-5-1-1 with a centre attacking midfielder.
I agree.
Right, who do you see your centre attacking midfielder's going to be then?
That's up for debate. That's up for discussion. I don't think Christie's good enough to play that role.
Oh, James, three centre midfielders.
It's not going to happen, but if I were picking the team, it would be McTominay, sitting midfielder, McGinn to the left of that, and Turnbull to the right of that. Turnbull's had a better season than McGregor. McGregor has been very poor in his decision making, and he's actually looked tired. And no wonder. He's played the most games for a football player across the leagues for a couple of seasons now. He's played 90 minutes non-stop for Celtic. So he needs a break. And I'm not saying this for Celtic reason. He just won't turn up for Scotland.
I actually totally agree with James on that one. That's what Turnbull has been the better player throughout the season. He's always been with the two attacking. I think Turnbull will do a better job in attacking than McGregor has done over the past season, anyways. So.
I think Turnbull would be a great shout in that position. However, McGregor's name and reputation will get him there first, which, as James said, it probably won't happen because Steve Clarke has had the habit of picking names and kind of prestige over performance and ability. In my opinion.
I hope in the first game it might open his eyes a little bit for then to pick the team based on people's skills for this past season and see who's actually in form rather than picking on the names. Because I would love the squad that would be able to beat England rather than just compete against them.
Mitchell, what's your thoughts?
So I'm going to go a slightly different route. Okay, I'm still going to go with McTominay and McGinn because
I think they're two stick-ons.
They kind of picked themselves, yeah. Like,
It's
I would
more
lo-
where you play them more than anything else.
I would love to choose Billy Gilmore, but he just
I would
hasn't
love to
played
pick
enough.
him.
Yeah.
But I do think he'd slot in that role perfectly. And the third one I'd go for is I'd pick Stuart Armstrong. And
Yeah.
I'd have it sort of, if you're having the sort of like the five across the middle, but I would kind of go for like it be like four, then one, then kind of one in front. So I'd have McTominay and McGinn sitting next to each other, because McGinn will bomb up and down, does it for Villa.
I think they can take shots at that, Ken. Just one going, one staying.
Yeah.
And
then have, I think, Armstrong kind of in behind the two up front. Because Armstrong, you see, he plays usually sort of left side for Southampton, but he bursts all over the place, making runs from the park, and I think he can do that same job if McGinn bursts forward. What was that, James?
Calling it runs is generous. He is so slow, Stuart Armstrong. That's the one thing that I said whilst he was at Celtic. If he had a bit of pace about him, he would be a cracking player. But he's just too slow. And I think if he played in the midfield for Scotland, he would be overrun pretty quickly, despite Jordan McGinn being there.
That's why I was putting him as that in front. So he's still kind of, okay, I get what you get. If we're playing 4 or 5 across the middle, I think one in the midfield shouldn't make that much of a difference. If it does, then I think Scotland are just going to get overrun regardless.
Martin, there's your answer to my question that you asked me about who would play the centre attacking role. I think Armstrong could be a good possibility because I think there was a couple of times where he actually got the ball quite well in the D of the box and either got a yard or turned the defender and got a shot. Did he score a goal? I think he scored a goal against one of the internationals in the previous lot.
You wouldn't put
just on picking it up at the edge of the box, taking a touch and hitting it in the bottom corner. So I think he could perform that role. And as James said, he's not the fastest, so a centre attacking mid role would work well for.
So would you not put him at? Sorry, you wouldn't put Shea Adams in that centre attacking position with Lyndon Dykes in front of him.
No, you have the two up front.
Yeah, if you're playing with both of them at the same time, you're going to go for the two of them.
That would be.
They offer you different things. I don't think Steve Clarke hasn't played with two up front. Maybe once, and it was halfway through the game. It wasn't actually from the start. He's not played with two up front. He won't play two up front from the start, I doubt.
Shea Adams at a centre attacking mid, and then Lyndon Dykes a striker.
But then you're limiting either one's ability.
Yeah.
Shahan, who's your favourite?
Lyndon Dykes would be the better centre attacking mid. Sorry, Martin, I keep interrupting you, but I'm just going to say what Shahan's saying. Lyndon Dykes would be the better centre attacking mid at the two of them because he's up winning the first balls all the time. So you play it to him, and he'll flick it on for Shea Adams. Yeah, or you're looking at, if you're going at the vice versa, you're hoping that Lyndon Dykes holds the ball up and plays in Shea Adams. Which I don't think the two of them will play together, or very, very rarely. And they won't play two from the start, I don't think.
The Shahan, your three across the middle, I think McTominay and McGinn's kind of a given. Who's the other
mine's is exactly the same as James. I think Turnbull's been on like in much better form than McGregor, anyways. And I think he'll be the one that kind of pushes the team forward as well.
So with that, I reckon McGinn and McTominay are always starters. I think McTominay needs to play as a sitting role. I think Scotland have struggled previously with Darren Fletcher and having him in an attacking role when he was an attacking midfielder. He's a sitting midfielder. So keep McTominay doing what McTominay does, and he does well for Man United. McGinn, I think you lose a lot from him if he's a sitting midfielder. I think him pressing high up the pitch does a lot. I think he changes the attitude of a team. There's nothing worse when you're playing the midfield than somebody else running past you to tackle somebody. So he makes sure that everybody else is working. He's a catalyst in there. I think the third position will probably change every game. I think McGregor will probably start there. I do like Turnbull. I think that position is probably going to be your first sub when he's wanting to change things, because McGinn and McTominay will probably stay on the course of the game. McGregor, Turnbull. I think McGregor or Turnbull. I'd like to see Turnbull actually. I think he's done pretty well this season. His set pieces will help. Obviously, we're going to miss out with Lee Griffiths this time for set pieces. So I think that gives it McTominay sitting and Turnbull and McGinn slightly further forward. I think during the games that we're going to be under the cosh, McGinn will drop back to there. So in the striker position, so we're either going to be playing two up top, possibly against the Czech Republic, or one up top and one just behind against the other two teams. I think it's probably pretty obvious for the two strikers against Czech Republic. It'll be Che Adams and Dykes.
Ollie McBurney, oh wait.
Yay! Oh, wait, sorry.
What's everybody's thoughts on the striker position?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. What's everybody's thoughts on the striker position?
I'm
Dykes
so
has done
happy.
well for Scotland.
I am happy that McBurney's not in the squad. Obviously, he's injured for one, and second, he's probably got a pending court case. I think Dykes has done extremely well to get himself in as a mainstay in the Scotland squad. I think everyone said the same thing when Adams declared for Scotland. It was a big help for us. He showed he's glimpses of what he can do. We'll look forward to seeing more of it. I don't think we'll play two up strike, but if we do, they're the obvious choices. And I feel like if you're doing 1-on-1, playing either of them in centre attacking midfield, you lose some of their abilities. So I don't think it's a good fit for them.
I agree with you there, Gav. Like, if we're going to play two up top, you've got us do Dykes and Adams alongside each other, because Dykes mainly to win the headers, Adams mainly to get the second ball, but they can also do the flip side as well. If we're playing a striker and then one in behind, I would most likely start with Shea Adams as striker, and then go for someone like Turnbull or that in behind, or even someone like Ryan Fraser in behind, just for have them, because if we're playing that, we're going to be playing counter-attacking football, and playing to Turnbull can hopefully pick the pass for Adams to run onto, or if you've got Adams and Fraser, both of them, ball gets pinged out wide, they burn the defender and put the ball across. Yeah.
So is everybody of the same opinion, basically, that Dykes, James has got a big shake of the head on. Oh, you go, James.
Corey with an opinion, there's a shock.
We will only play one up front for the 3 games, and that will be Adams.
Adams
will play central attacking mid, and it will be Ryan Christie. It will be Ryan Christie.
He's not good enough. He's not good enough for that role.
Who do you want to play though? Because as you say, it will be Ryan Christie.
Ryan Gall, not in the squad.
Who do you want in the squad?
I would probably prefer Stuart Armstrong to Ryan Christie. Fun story.
James has agreed with me.
Fun story. There was one time I was at Parkhead and Ryan Christie took one of his shots, and we all know they don't hit the back of the net. and they
what planet did it land on?
It actually hit me.
Are you not behind the dugout?
Don't use that.
This was that's my season ticket seat, but for some reason I was going to go. And
he's got wild with his shots, is he not?
Yeah.
To be fair, I want to clarify this. I think Christie's actually had perfect aim for one shot, so I think he must have meant that.
Must have been. There's James.
There's that Tory.
I reckon under his breath after they hit you, it was Tory cunt.
And after the game, I was with a friend from overseas, and they wanted to see the players to get some autographs and photos for Instagram and so on. And then it was Ryan Christie that came up, and I was like, "Oh, you hit me with the ball with one of your shots." And then he said, "Which one?" So that says a lot. But then I replied to him, "Well, it was that off target. You shook me all night long." So it was a pretty weird experience. But the way that Steve plays, to get back on point, he does like the press. And if you want somebody to press, Ryan Christie is better than Stuart Armstrong.
I think you kind of wonder what Christie's going to hit next. I mean, what next? The moon? It's shot after shot, gone wide, long, but he's got to get one on target, and guaranteed he's going to get one nestled snugly in the top corner once we come up against England. I do like Christie for a lot of time. You like the confidence in him to take shots. He does hit the target on occasion. It's not all the time. He scored for Scotland.
Martin, who would you rather have taken a shot from 35 yards out? Ryan Christie or John McGinn?
McGinn.
Right, moving on.
I mean, I think Christie. I agree with James. I think Christie might actually be in the squad, like as a definite, because of the goal that he did score for Scotland that got us into the penalty shootout, which obviously then got us to this position. But that would be the only reason I would say. Not his current form, anyways.
So basically, over the course of the last little while, we've done Clarke's job for him and picked his team. So with that team, we are playing against the Czech Republic, England, and Croatia. Do we have any hopes at all without those three games to get through that group? James, Mitchell.
I think the Croatia, the Czech Republic game will be. That'll be the big pressure one, like, because I think, is that our first one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. 14th of June for the Czech Republic, then 4 days later England, then 4 days after that Croatia.
So I think our best bet if we want to get through would be obviously beat Czech Republic, which we can do. We can beat them. Yep. I do think this squad is big enough. England, if we get anything, I think we'll be lucky. I think, I hate to say it, but I think England have just got that much talent. I think they're probably just going to rip through us a little bit. In Croatia, I feel they've got some good players, but I feel like if we can hurry them and harry them a bit, especially the likes of Modric, who is like their star man. I feel like we could get some joy and maybe nick a draw or something and hope that works in our favour.
So, if I'm not mistaken, there's 2 definite go-throughs from each group, and then 4 3 bests, isn't it? 4 third place bests.
I have no idea. I cannot believe
that's what
live
I've heard on the news. Anyway,
and made us look like complete cunts.
That's what I've heard on the news. Sky Sports News.
So
Other
news,
sports news are available as well. I just assumed.
So what are you saying? Sky News is saying is it that the tops will go through and then
top 2
a couple
from
of seconds,
each group, and then 4 thirds, I think.
Best place finishes.
Yeah.
So a best place finish of a win and 2 draws would probably put us through. Possibly.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is I'll be thunderstruck if Scotland don't go through. Like, Scotland's winning every game. They're beating Czech, they're beating England, and they're beating Croatia.
Shahad, I love the exuberance that you're putting in.
It's happening. I'm gonna be sat in a pub on the 18th, drowning English viewers.
After our 4th lockdown.
Yes.
If you're Glasgow.
Aye. Gavin, do you reckon we will get anywhere out of these 3 fixtures?
Can I jump in quickly and just quantify
what
Shahan said? So the top 2 in each group and the 4 best third place teams advance.
Yeah.
Exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Oh, so
exactly. Well researched, mate. Brilliant job.
Well, no, you just said
just show you up.
I just put numbers to it just to make sure.
The great thing about that,
literally exactly what I said.
Is he didn't read it or anything. He just wrote it straight to his head.
Yeah, I've got my water in my hand. Clearly didn't read it. Anyway, sorry, you were saying, Gavin.
I wasn't saying anything actually. I was away to say something. So I think I agree with Mitchell. The Czech game, we should out of 3 of them, that's the most likely we'll win. And
need to win.
We do win. We need to get through. We need to. The England game, to do a Kevin Keegan, I would love it if we beat them. Love it. I think that it's either going to go one of 2 ways. It's going to be a close game, or we're going to get pumped. The Croatian game, I think it's going to be I think Croatia was
Usually
good.
close to be
Push
fair.
a draw. That's where we'll need people like McGinn, Presson. Will be hard work in the Croatia game. But I do think if we get a win and a draw at least, we could finish second in that group and go through to the next round.
This is the information I don't have.
James,
so Mitchell might have
shut
this.
up.
James, you say so much with your facial
expressions.
expressions and your demeanour.
Body language.
James, what is your feelings on the 3 fixtures ahead?
If we get more points than the UK did in Eurovision, then we're doing well.
Like, that's an easy task.
So this is information I don't have. Mitchell might have, or somebody else
God.
might have it. Do we play each team once?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So the games are the 14th of June, the 18th of June, and the 22nd of June. So I think there's probably going to be a bit of tiredness by the time we get to the Croatia game, especially the players like McGinn.
Tiredness, James is yawning.
Yeah.
Martin, see for those
Tiredness
dates,
with
what are the
discussions.
days? Martin, those dates, what are the days of the week on those ones?
Well, I would love to tell you, but I'm using my phone for this podcast, so I can't even fucking Google it. If somebody wants to check, because it's the 14th of June, the 18th of June, and the 22nd of June. So they're all 4 days apart, so they'll be through the week at some point.
I hope not.
There'll be games through the week, because one
A
of
Monday,
the
two
a Monday,
games
a
are midweek.
Friday. A Monday, a
there's 2
Friday.
o'clock kickoffs.
Yeah,
And
England
a
games are
Tuesday.
Friday night.
So that means Friday night we're going to Martin's.
Friday
Socially
night,
distance,
I
of
think
course.
it's 8 or
England
something.
game.
8 kickoff.
England game.
Sorted. And Gavin will send out the invites for my summer house. So, in my opinions of it, I think we should take points from Czech Republic. Unfortunately, I reckon Scotland will do what Scotland always do, and it will be
They'll
a
have the-
glorious. It'll be a glorious failure by the end. I think we will probably get a draw against Czech Republic, pick up points against England, and then it'll come to Croatia, and we'll get beat in the last minute or something. It's what Scotland do, unfortunately. I think with England game, most of the games we've had within it have been close. So I do feel that we will do well in the England game. I think we'll go through. I think second place, I'm going to go for it. So, does everybody think we're getting through, apart from James, who just said no, nil point?
Yes.
Yes,
Fair
we're
enough.
going through.
So I think
We have
we'll
faith.
quite happily we've picked the team. I'm sure Steve Clarke will be listening. He's one of our 3 or 4 listeners. So we've picked the team. We know what's going to happen. We'll get the points to get through. And this is the part that I didn't want to do. So now we're going to have to talk about there was a game on Saturday. Gavin, you can take it to there.
There was a game on Saturday. I had much pleasure in watching the game on Saturday, well, some of it anyway. So I think before we start it, we need to once again back up Shahan's sentiments from the opening about Sol Bamba. Great news for football fans. Former Hibernian player. It was
Great player.
announced prior to the game that he was cancer free, and brilliant news. I think all football fans came together and mentioned I've had some form of support for him through this time. But one of his former teams were playing in the Scottish Cup final against St Johnstone.
Playing's a
To
strong
be fair,
term.
Martin,
We're
I
getting
think
played.
we were there whether we showed up or not. There was a
to be fair,
definite aura of us being there.
we had the predictions before, and it was myself, James, Bruce, and Martin. And Martin was the only one who predicted the correct final with St Johnstone and Hibs. You said Hibs would narrowly beat St Johnstone. It didn't
Yeah, I
work
knew
out
they
for
were
you.
gonna
You know, a great achievement for St Johnstone this season. They had a nice wee announcement on the tannoy at Hampden. I heard there's a little tap 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 tap. Speaking to the Hibs fans here, for those of you about to rock, sit down, shut up, drink your sorrows. It was a great game for St Johnstone, and I think anyone who was a St Johnstone fan. A great achievement from the season. But my question before we talk about how good St Johnstone did. Martin, I'm coming to you first.
Yes.
As a Hibs fan. I've got
Go for it.
I've got some stats for you here.
Go for it.
Hibs have failed to be a top tier team in a Scottish Cup in the Scottish Cup final since 1902. They have made 13 finals in 119 years, 1 win and 12 losses, mind you, not against a top tier team. They have had 3 games at Hampden this year, and they have not won a single one. Is this a psychological thing in Hibs' mind? They cannot go to Hampden and win a game.
I think I wouldn't say it's about Hampden. I've been to Hampden a lot. The fact that we've got to a lot of finals says that we've sort of won a lot of semis. I was there when Frank de Boer hit the post at the penalty shoot at Hibs against Rangers. I was there when Kevin Thompson scored against Celtic to put us through into a final. Unfortunately, I was also there against Hearts in the final. I was there against Livingston in the final. I was there against Celtic in another final, and I was there against fuck knows how many. The amount of times I've actually been to Hampden starts to get unbearable.
Out of the 13 finals, you mentioned about 4 or 5 there.
Yes, and I've been to them.
Were you at the one that they won?
No.
Right, okay.
That's it. You just don't need to go to the games.
Martin, were you there? Were you there yesterday?
I tried out of the day because nobody was allowed there because they're fucking Rangers fans. So, there's a definite. I think there has been a Scottish Cup voodoo in the past. I think 2016 sort of vanished that to a degree. There is still obviously we had the League Cup a couple of years ago against Ross County that we lost in the final. I think there's a certain style of football that obviously you've got to take each game on its own merits. The game against St Johnstone there, we decided to go out and play the style of football we played all season. A style of football that's not beat St Johnstone at all this season. I'm actually a firm believer in bogey teams, whether anybody else believes in that or not. That the style of football that St Johnstone play is not suited to the style of football that Hibs play, and most of the time Hibs will struggle against that because they've not got a plan B. But to get to your James has got his hand up there. Oh, you go,
I'm
James.
coming to James next. Then I'm coming to James next. Finish what you're saying.
On the note of us having a hoodoo, I don't think we have anymore. I think we've sort of vanished that. I think it's a case of, unfortunately, I think a commentator mentioned this during the game, that Hibs are a good cup team. We just seem to be a cup team that gets to semis and finals without winning. I think we get to a lot of semis. We're always in the mix of semis and finals. It's just a case of getting that over the line, and on too many occasions, the other teams wanted it more than we have.
That's a good point. James, I'm going to come to you, but before you say what you had to say there, I had a personal conversation with yourself about the final yesterday evening, and I saw an article today that I want to get your opinion on. An article and videos about certain members of the Hibs team seen celebrating the night of the loss with champagne, dancing, partying. A lot of Hibs fans that I've seen, the reaction-wise, has been a case of seeing them going out as their dirty deeds done cheap, bringing embarrassment to the club's name and the badge. Being a fan of a team who's had a lot of success over the years, if you saw your team losing a cup final and then saw them out celebrating as if they just won it, would you be happy with that? One of the articles said that Hibs have gone soft since Neil Lennon had left them. I'm not going to go into
Lennon.
I'm not going to ask anyone about that. But would you be happy as a fan to see your team members, the ones who you look up to, celebrating a loss, such as the way that Hibs lost, and as Martin said, not showing up in the cup final?
I'd like to come in on that once James is finished.
Yeah. If my memory serves me correct, Celtic flew out to Dubai and had pints after a firm loss. So I'm not in any place to comment. That was under Neil Lennon. So I don't think that's Hibs going soft since Lennon left. It's the end of the season. These people are human. They're going into the holidays. Might not be a good end to the season, but they're human. They're going to start relaxing. I think this is more selling papers and fans wanting to get angry about something rather than an actual story. But yeah, the point that I put my hand up for Martin was, you said that St Johnstone were a bogey team. You said that the way that Hibs play doesn't suit St Johnstone. So why did you predict Hibs beating St Johnstone in the final?
I assumed that the manager would have the gumption to change formation, or at least the fact that we've played them so many times this year and yet to score against them. He might have actually changed something as opposed to doing exactly the same thing that he's done every other game we've played them.
This is my
Unfortunately, the manager decided to go with the same way and try. I mean, to be fair, we had a chance early on. We had a chance just after the half, and if either of those go in, it might be a different story. But they didn't, and I don't think we created enough chances to say that we were the better team in the game because we won it.
Jack Ross is known for doing poorly in finals, though.
Yeah, that was the other small thing that I was going to add. This is his third defeat at Hampden this season.
Yep.
Against the big teams in Scotland, Hibs also don't have the best track record this season. Does Jack Ross have a psychological issue for these games rather than Hibs themselves?
Martin, to put that into football talk rather than James's proper talk here. What he's asking is, does Jack Ross have any bottle?
Other than his water bottle.
Ironic Spurs fan.
That's good. That considering what I've heard that he's done in front of Anne Budge, I think he's got a bottle. It's just the sorry, Gav, you okay there? It's more. I mean, Jack Ross. There is a lot of Hibs fans that want shot of him. There is a lot of Hibs fans that want shot of them, and I think you've got to look at what he's done at Hibs. He is an aspiring manager. He's still young. He is still learning. I know that he's done jobs in other places. I want to get to the celebrating on the night of the final that we lost. It's obviously the end of season celebrations that they're doing. And unfortunately, if you're in a cup final, it's either one way or the other. You either win or you lose. You're either happy or sad. And I think, unfortunately, we lost the final, but you've still got to take that night out on the grounds of what we've done that season. And although Aberdeen didn't show up, I still think it was a reasonably good season. We're still in Europe, although it's a European conference as opposed to St Johnstone, who will be hoping that Chelsea win the Champions League, so they go into the European League stages, which is a £3 million windfall for them. Not better. I think
that's fine. Still Kevin Nesbitt, and then you'll make the money.
Well, to be fair, I mean the players that are being looked at from Hibs, reports of Doig to
4 million.
For 4 million.
Yeah.
Nesbitt was linked with Birmingham for 3 million in the January there. he's now ended the season on quite a good scoring record. Unfortunately, Boyle had the buyout clause, which is rather low on a lot of people's valuations. And Porteous, who at times is a bit of a bomb scare, but he is a good player, and I think he will be a good player. He's been linked with down south as well, with I can't remember what it's over $1 million anyway, for his transfer. So there is players that are coming out of Hibs. Obviously, Nisbet we got relatively cheap from Dunfermline. I'm assuming they'll have a sell-on clause. Are heading in the right direction. It just wasn't our year.
I think you can't take anything away from the fact that Hibs have done well, but then also you can't take away from the fact that St Johnstone, historic cup double, done a brilliant job under Callum Davidson, a rookie manager, to go to, Martin, you've had enough time to talk sharp, to go to Mitchell and Shahan, who haven't really spoke about this, they're more neutral of the Scottish game. Mitchell, it shows that you can make history and not destroy the town or city that you live in from the fans' perspective.
You don't even have to live in the city to destroy it, let's be honest. Anyway.
Do you think that this performance has showed that Callum Davidson has a big future in management?
I'm not sure. It's two finals. I don't follow the Scottish game that much, but I watched the final and they did have Hibs' number, so it does look like tactically he's aware of what he's doing, and it seems to what he used on how he played on whatever it was worked for him. I think it stands you in good stead, especially when you win, especially to win the league double in a season where Rangers have gone undefeated in the league, and it's just like, okay, you went undefeated in the league, but you still got knocked out of the cups. So it's kind of like a case of, it also reminds the Scottish football's like, okay, yeah, you beat us in the league. You're not unbeatable though. You still will slip up.
To kind of go to the next stage is that St Johnstone, from their starting squad, had a number of players who came through the grassroots level from the bottom all the way up. Teams like Hutchie Vale, Tiny over in Lothians, the ones that I'm not more aware of over towards the Glasgow way. It was a big thing that they had quite a lot of Scottish talent in their squad. Shahan, to go to you to get your point on this, do you think this shows that Scottish football can have a good grassroots level if they just build on it now and start more investment into the getting the grassroots level up, the success is going to be coming?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's actually shown with the results that St Johnstone have got. They have actually knocked out Rangers this season in those cup games, and have gone on to win the cups as well. So it shows that they've actually maybe groomed their teams well to get to that position. I think that it's a brilliant thing to see, that young talents are coming through the grassroots of Scotland and reaching their full potential in teams like St Johnstone.
To kind of round off this topic, both
Can
teams.
I add one thing on this, Gavin? If
Yourself and James used his hand up.
If Stevie Gerrard's got a shreddy integrity, as soon as COVID allows him to do so, he should take the Manager of the Year trophy and just place it on Callum Davidson's doorstep.
Well, see, he got Manager of the Year, but I'm sure is it the PFA one that Callum Davidson's up for?
Aye.
With Steve Clarke, I think that he has to win that one now. Has to.
Yeah.
But yeah, Celtic in our quadruple treble, one Manager of the Year. Steven Gerrard won one trophy, Manager of the Year. Ridiculous. Yeah. Give it to the guy who won the double.
Yep.
St Johnstone's double this season makes them the second most successful Scottish team in the past decade, with 3 senior trophies. Obviously, Celtic's in first place with 19. And yeah, Rangers
just
are
wanting
there
to get that in.
with
In the last how many years?
10 years.
10 years. Last decade.
I'm sure Hearts will be there as well then.
Yeah.
One.
You know, we've won 2 Scottish championships
Well,
for the Scottish Cup.
Now you're sounding like Bruce.
none of this Petrofac Cup and all that.
Aye.
Major honours.
That's
No,
the
just a championship. Just count the championship. That's all I want. To round this topic off, as I was saying, the two questions I want to ask: both teams performing brilliantly. Do we think either of them will be successful in Europe next season? And do we think this is a change for more challenging teams in Scottish football? Maybe not quite the levels of the old firm, but in terms of a battle for third place between the likes of Aberdeen, Hibs, St Johnstone. Do we think this is the new progression? We'll go to James first. He's sitting there with arms folded.
No
He's
and
sitting there
no.
the entire time.
No and no. Okay, Mitchell.
I think Hibs could have potential to, but I don't think St Johnstone have enough to actually do much in Europe.
Okay. What about in terms of competition-wise in the league?
I think this will put St Johnstone in good stead for next season, but I feel like it might be a bit. It's a cup run rather than a league run. It's kind of two different competitions in a style, in a way.
Shahan.
They could have a chance in the league, but don't really see St Johnstone doing well in Europe at all, really, if they get to that position, which hopefully they will, because Chelsea will win. Yeah, that's that.
What about the competition-wise in the league? Do you think there'll be a bit more competition?
No.
Okay, Martin.
As far as the league goes, I think St Johnstone have slowly been building a better and better team over the past 10 years, probably longer than that. They haven't spent a great deal of money. They've had a couple of decent managers. Callum Davison came in, I think he lost his first 6 or 7 games, but he's implemented a system. And since those 6 or 7 first games, he's actually done really well. So as far as the league goes, that's great. I think the ability to sign players is enhanced with the European football that they can get, obviously, if it is the group stages, which obviously before the competition started, the group stages is what was promised of the Scottish Cup. It's just UEFA's changed the goalposts a bit on that one. As far as other Scottish teams doing well in Europe, we predominantly get entered into the European competitions too early. We get entered into our pre-season and we haven't even hit the ground running. If St Johnstone can get into the Europa League stages, obviously I believe that it's actually an opportunity if you come third in that to then drop to the new competition of the conference, European Conference. So they actually in for a big windfall for that. Hibs and Aberdeen will both go to the European Conference, which again is a new competition. I'm not sure what teams are going in that. It'll probably be teams from Wales, teams from Northern Ireland, teams from It's not the Europa League stands. There is going to be
Spurs. Are Spurs and Arsenal not? Are they not Conference League?
So basically, your pish teams in other leagues, they'll sort of make up what numbers.
Teams that would walk the
Scottish
League
within there.
James, Spurs might win a trophy.
2 teams within that.
So with that, it's a new contest. I don't know how that's going to go. What I am not happy about is the fact that Aberdeen have finished below Hibs, but Aberdeen will be seeded and Hibs will be unseeded in that competition because of their previous coefficient. I do think that should be determined on how you've done that year and not how you've done previously. But
that's UEFA's issue, not ours. But yeah, moving on nicely from what Martin was saying about a big windfall, brings us on to probably one of the most luxurious topics that we're going to talk about. It was a big week for sport, but then we're going to the big main event of the Formula One calendar and then the Monaco GP. And Mitchell,
Clearly,
There you
Martin
go.
didn't like that.
Monaco Grand Prix. Historic, luxurious, but the most boring race you'll ever see.
Consistently.
Consistently, yeah. It's, as I say,
Complete
it's
down payment on my blues.
it's one of those racetracks that, like, even in seasons where it's competitive, it comes down to who does best in qualifying, and I think that's the best place. Well, I think best place to start is how many people actually watched qualifying and the race.
No, just the race.
Okay, so
Q3 though. Q3.
So I think the most interesting part would be qualifying, and most importantly, quali 3. Charles Leclerc on pole, misjudges the I can't remember what the corner's called. Misjudges the corner, clips the barrier, turns his wheel in, crashes into the wall. Red flag, ruins everyone's race, everyone's final flying lap, and that was the most exciting part of the weekend. Gab's looking at me with a funny look. But
He's got that. That's because he's 55.
Is that when Hamilton started from 7th on the grid?
Yes.
That was today, yes.
Yes. That was the reason. So basically, Leclerc was on his flying lap first, doing his next lap round, clips the barrier, crashes, red flags the fight session. Session gets finished with 12 seconds to go. So basically, everyone on a flying lap
Had to abandon it.
A lot of
abort
them
it.
looked as if they were going to set a faster time.
Yeah.
They
There were
were,
at least 3, because I think Sainz was on to get pole.
yeah,
Hamilton was on to set a faster lap, and so was Verstappen.
they were showing
But
the
then,
VT of all these 3 drivers before the race, and their reactions, and they see obviously Sainz say that it's unfair because obviously he feels sorry for Leclerc, but he was potentially going to beat him.
Yeah.
Well, why did they leave it so late then? Why
I
not
don't-
get you a faster lap in early?
Multiple reasons. Sometimes traffic
It's
can be
obviously
a
possibility.
reason.
I don't even think that was the most interesting thing. I thought AA showing up to get Bottas's tyre off was more interesting.
that was brilliant.
I was getting to that point, but do we think with the way qualifying ended, do we think that actually made the race a bit more interesting with the fact of everyone's in a weird and odd position? James is shaking his head, so let's go to James. Why not?
Because it's Monaco. You can't overtake.
It's not true.
It's.
I mean,
It's very hard to.
It's hard to overtake, but you can overtake.
But when you're in an F1 car on the grid, you want to be like, I don't know, highway to hell, just all out, guns blazing, overtaking. Whereas Monaco is, Monaco itself epitomizes Formula One. It's too rich and too cozy.
I think there is a point with the type of race it is. To win a championship, you need to have the ability to go through different types of races. Monaco's a type of race. For the fans, it's boring. I'm assuming for the guy behind the wheel, it's quite intense, consistent. If you misjudge something, you're in a wall.
yeah.
It's complete hell's bells, consistent concentration. All you're doing is making sure you're there and making sure you get the fastest time. But a lot of the race today was conserving tyres. They had a very soft consistency of tyres set for the day. And everybody was just making sure their tyres were going to last.
I mean, I think for Monaco, all they should do is do helmet views, because it looks remarkably fast when they're going through those corners so close next to the barriers and things like that. And apparently, I was like at the end of the race, I think they said that this was the first Monaco in however many years there was no yellow flag or virtual yellow safety thing.
That was my issue.
So,
no crashes.
There was one retirement.
one, no.
And there was
Yeah.
no safety cars.
yeah,
2 retirements technically.
yeah.
No, not to protect. No. There was one retirement. There was one did not start.
Did
There
not
was
start.
one
DNF.
retirement, and even then, it wasn't even a crash. There
And
was no
talking
safety car for the first time in like 13 races, which I think is a remarkable thing as a Formula One fan. for Monaco.
I think
I think
for
it
the did not
depends why you
start.
watch Formula One. I watch it for the crashes, and there wasn't any.
I think for the did not start. As much as I want to feel bad for Leclerc because in I don't know how many years it's the first time he set that pole position lap, but I think he would just be an idiot after that. Like, he set the lap, just take it easy for the last lap, take it back home securely. He would maybe only would have lost maybe 1 or 2 places. He could have tried to do that within the race, but he touched too much close to the barriers, touched too much of the barriers, went into a barrier, couldn't fix
I
the
think
car.
with Leclerc,
Hindsight's a wonderful thing.
yeah, I was going to say hindsight's a wonderful thing, and as you and Gav both said, you had Sainz, Verstappen, and Hamilton all on faster laps. You probably would include Perez in that category as well,
And Bottas.
Nice.
and Bottas. So there's 5 places. So he would have dropped 5 places, which brings me on to
But
the point
then,
of
why
why
I
did
think
Ferrari? Anytime that sort of crash happens, the gearbox needs to be changed.
I know.
Every single time they go, oh no, it'll be fine. We'll try it, and gearbox gives out.
That's the only reason I feel bad for Leclerc. Well, because Ferrari should have given him a chance to at least race. Like, yeah, fair enough, he would have dropped 5 places, and it's almost impossible to overtake in Monaco. But at least he would have been in the race. He would have enjoyed his home race essentially because he is born and bred of Monaco, so he would have enjoyed his home race. It would have been a different story if he was at the front of the grid. It would have been a different story if he would have been on the grid
I think
rather than watching from the sidelines, really.
Yeah, so I think the race in general was pretty much, other than Bottas's retirement, which I believe turned out to be an issue with the actual hub connecting to the axle rather than the actual wheel
So
nut.
apparently what happened was the wheel nut had worn down. So the thread had had just been worn down or whatever it was.
The machine threaded it.
Yeah,
essentially.
That's what it was.
So then it couldn't connect to get it off, and the wheel gun, the gun kept jamming as well, which didn't help them at all.
That is one person I do genuinely feel sorry about because
Definitely.
it was the first time he's actually done much better than Hamilton, has a chance to win the race, and technical issues let him down.
But I think with that as well, Hamilton pitted just before that and didn't get out where he wanted to get out either.
With Mitchell saying that was the only exciting thing about the race. That is not true. The fact that Hamilton, he went for the undercut, pitted first out of everyone really, and he actually still lost 2 places. He was fuming about it. He lost places to Sergio Perez and Vettel.
He qualified 7th, didn't he? And then got basically was guaranteed, not guaranteed, but 6th place. He was basically given 6th because Leclerc didn't start, and yet still somehow ended up in 7th.
Yep, it was just
the undercut for him didn't work.
I think Mercedes just got a little bit too cocky from their game plan from last weekend or 2 weekends ago in Barcelona, because they had a brilliant game plan then. They had brilliant techniques and plan Bs and plan As and all sorts. Did not work for them in Monaco at all. But I think after Hamilton not getting anywhere close to pole position and Bottas' retirement, I think Verstappen was always going to win that, wasn't he? I'm sure he's drinking a whole lot of rosé and having fun with a whole lot of rosé as well. So
I think what we need to touch on as well is the fact that Red Bull have done the innovation. They've brought in this flexi wing that's been a big thing about, because people have said that it's not legal. FIA have looked into it, and as I'm right in saying they've not found anything wrong with it. It seems to give them an advantage in the street races, the tight corners and such. The next race is Baku in Azerbaijan. It's another street race, a bit faster, a bit more high octane than Monaco. But again, I think the Red Bull do well. This is what I've been saying on here for a while. It's what we've been saying for Formula One kind of spectators, is they're trying to bring more excitement into the sport. This is now starting to get exciting for this season. Verstappen is now took the lead in the constructors. Well, Red Bull in the constructors, and Verstappen is a drivers' championship for the first time in his career. Red Bull for the first time in the new hybrid era. It's starting to heat up. It's starting to get exciting. It's starting to get tactical. Sergio Perez doing a performance similar to what I was saying earlier about, and Martin was saying earlier about John McGinn for Scotland, is that Sergio Perez will go out there and do the dirty work. He'll do what he needs to do. And he had a brilliant race today. I think him and Vettel were probably the two best drivers out on the track and pushing each other for driver of the day. It's,
I think Vettel won driver of the day.
Yeah, and for F1's vote, he won driver of the day, but it's one of those things where it might not be the most exciting race for someone who doesn't know a lot about the sport to watch. But if you look at someone from behind us in terms of what I watched Formula One, probably most of anyone in the podcast, from my point of view, if you look at the whole weekend as a whole, it was an exciting weekend. There was lots of bits and bobs being put pieced together.
I think it's
the race itself wasn't.
For the implications of the race and what the races came out as what's made it exciting rather than the actual race. Someone's got to bring up the Drivers' Championship, because you've got, as you said, Verstappen's now leading. It's only 4 points over Hamilton, but it's still, he's leading. But then you look at third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Norris in third with 56 points, which is great because driver. Down to Leclerc in sixth. There's only 16 points of a difference, and that could be if you obviously take, for some reason, Verstappen or Hamilton have a race like Hamilton did today, and you get Norris in third place again. There's 15 points for a third?
Yeah.
So like you're getting those sort of points. It kind of opens everything up, and then it also makes the Constructors' Championship that much more interesting as well.
Definitely, and I think what we need to talk on about as well, although we always look at the front of the grid, the points, the cameras focus on the front more. Probably the best example of overtaking, especially Monaco, came from the midfield to the middle of the pack. You had turn 5 coming out of turn 1. Giovinazzi was stuck behind 2 cars, one coming out of the pits, and up turn 5 there was a wee gap. He took it, he gambled on it, managed to make the move. There's nothing better than seeing him move it like that in Monaco, whether it's there, whether it's down at the hairpin. That probably one of the best places for someone like Daniel Ricciardo, late breaker, to make a move going in before the tunnel, or even down at the chicane where unfortunately Leclerc clipped the barricade. There's nothing better than seeing moves like that in the tight parameters that Monaco offers you. Matter of millimeters can either make or break your race, and that's why you watch it. I mean, Martin said he watches it for the crashes. He watches it for the excitement of, oh my god, this might actually work. It might not.
Even the battle between Mazepin and Mick Schumacher, I know they're the same teammates, but that first turn that kind of comes down the hill and then a U-turn back up the hill, they were like kind of overtaking each other on that end, and I think that I thought that was brilliant. I thought that was good to see.
Fucking impressed that Mazepin actually finished a race. He's fucking useless.
I was going to say, he finished the race and he finished ahead of Schumacher.
I know. Shocking. Absolutely shocked. Didn't expect it.
How did our good friend Bruce's Georgie Boy Russell, who did he crash into?
No one.
What?
He was complaining about the tyres and the grip at some point. But apart from that, he had a very uninteresting race where he just got ticked over. I think Latifi had a better, kind of more action-packed race than he did.
Even though Russell still finished on top of him, but
yes,
yeah.
I think Latifi was involved in more battles.
So on a whole, then the race itself not overly interesting, but the implications is definitely what made the race interesting, made the rest of the season interesting. It'll be good to see what happens in Azerbaijan and Baku. But before we sign off, I'll pass back over to Shahan for our customary round table.
Yes, so I thought I'll follow the theme of picking a TV show. This one's not a TV show. I don't know if any of you guys know that there's a new movie came out, Army of the Dead. It's a Jack Snyder movie.
Oh yeah, the one that WWE tried to promote.
Yeah, yes.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Anyways, so
it's a zombie movie.
You're on a team and your
Rangers fans
get across. Your goal is to get across a zombie affected Las Vegas to go and defuse a bomb. I'm pretty sure. To go defuse a bomb, a nuclear bomb or something. So, if you had to pick 3 people to be in that team to get you across the town of Las Vegas, with a zombie infested tiger and people.
Tiger.
Yeah, there's a zombie tiger in there in this movie. Who would you pick? Three sporting personalities.
Fuck.
I will go to James first.
Thank fucking it, James first.
I don't have a clue. So we are trying to escape from a zombie apocalypse, essentially.
Can I go first? Because I think I've got an answer.
Apocalypse, not
You're
apocalypse.
trying to go through a zombie apocalypse to defuse a nuclear bomb, essentially.
Can I go first? Because I think I've got an answer. I just need to ask one question. What's the name of St Johnson manager?
Callum Davidson.
Callum Davidson, Xander Clarke, and Chris Kane. That's who I'd use to get through zombies.
So why?
Because they got
Because they
past
did it in the
the
cup.
semi-final.
Aye. In the semi-final, on penalties.
Okay, fair enough. James, back to James.
I just took James' answer.
No. I wasn't going to make the Rangers joke. I don't have a clue.
So anybody else
You
have an
wouldn't pick
answer?
Ryan Christie because he's not got a good shot on him.
Anybody else got an answer? We go to them first.
Why no? I'm going to go with Mike Tyson because it's probably his tiger and he'll probably talk nicely to it. Thinking outside the box here, guys.
Fair enough.
I'm thinking I need a sniper, someone who's good from long range. So I'm going to go for
Ryan Christie.
someone who's good from long range.
He hit James in the stand.
James Quinty would need to be the zombie.
That's a great shot.
James isn't a zombie. If you hit Bruce from the stand, that's impressive. No, Bruce is a big target.
Aye, big target.
We'll go with Frank Lampard. He was always good at a free kick. So we'll go with him as my second choice. And then my third, we need kind of someone who can just come in and put thunder and crack lightning, whatever the fucking phrase is. There's a phrase in there somewhere. I know that is. Sports personality.
Thor.
Why not go for Dave Bautista? He's in the movie.
I was going to
That's a shout. That's a shout. Yes, Dave Bautista. He's a sports personality.
Drax. I'll go with Carol Baskins.
And she's a sports personality.
Oh, right enough.
Since
She's no issue. She just killed
she did
tiger
at the start.
people.
No, she tried to get killed by tiger people. Different.
Yeah.
Carol Baskin.
So,
Killed her.
sports
husband,
personality.
weapon.
I'm going to go with Terry Crews because he used to play in football. He used to play American football. And he's an expendable, so I'm assuming he's able to handle his equipment.
Oh,
And
you'll see
sort of
you'll be walking into the
robot
zombies.
dance the way through, just popping bits everywhere. I don't know. Who's you would have to go with somebody along the lines of Scott Brown because he's a hand skilper. And possibly, I don't know, somebody like John McGinn, somebody that just doesn't stop going. Actually, no, I'm going to stop that. I'm going to go for Butterbean because you need somebody that you're faster than. You don't have to catch you. You just have to be faster than your mate. That's it. I'm going with that.
Martin, just to put a hole in the theory about Scott Brown is that zombies don't feel broken legs.
Oh well, do it.
James.
So
We're all waiting.
I know.
You can go with Anthony Stokes. He was a hand skilper too.
with that logic, I'm going to go with Tiger Woods. So there's a tiger in each team. Words.
Fair play.
But
Fair play.
he's also very accurate with a golf ball. So I don't know if zombie
Not very accurate with a steering wheel.
with a golf ball. Two, Brendan Rodgers, for the obvious reason.
What's the obvious reason?
That
You'll get most of the way there than actually bottle it and fall back and actually be in a worse position than you started.
no, he's good at beating zombies.
Right.
Fair point.
Three, I'm going to go for I'm going to go for, and I'm going to compliment the Chelsea fans here, Tuchel. Because I think if you've got to defuse a nuclear bomb, you want some of that Tuchel touch.
Fair enough.
Shahan, what's
This
your piece?
conversation
Since you've
will be
had
so
all week to think of this.
You're the only person that actually had any chance
need preparation.
to actually think of this, so yours
Can you
better be
say-
good.
I
How
have
much
actually.
better would
I
this
had
conversation be
something
if
else
Bruce
on my
was here?
mind. I heard something else on my mind, and I changed this literally halfway through the podcast. So I have zero thought of this. I want to choose Batista, but that's already taken. I want to choose Tiger Woods for the same reasons James did.
Is
but-
Batista a sports personality?
Yeah,
Who?
former wrestler.
From
James Batista, yeah.
Yeah.
Former WWE
Potential.
World Champion, former Tag Team Champion.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
yeah.
Oh, shout.
Well, now I will take him. I'll
You're
take
too late.
Dwayne.
You gave your three.
I'll take Dwayne The Rock Johnson because he's better than any other wrestler to have ever lived.
I still think you should have named his daughter Pebbles.
Fruity Pebbles.
Mitchell.
Who else?
No.
You probably want like a good driver, so Verstappen after today's win.
Surprised you didn't say
Not
Michael
Woods, yeah.
Schumacher.
Not Woods.
I mean, I'm not looking for a champion. I'm looking for the champion for the day, and the champion for the day was Verstappen. So, who else? That Eddie guy, who the strong man,
Eddie Hall.
In Hull.
Yeah, him. He'll literally just bulldoze through everybody. What else you want?
Fair enough.
Him and The Rock right next to each other, bulldozing through everybody, and then Verstappen in his car just flying through. There we go.
So Shahan's hoping to outrun everyone.
Yep.
Why is it everybody in the car? Why is there a car?
I know.
Well, let's be honest.
Shahan's sitting in the car with Verstappen now with other
Try
people
to
just
fit. Try to
Hosting
fit
everyone.
Eddie Hall and The Rock in a F1 car.
So,
Why
Might
do you
be
have
a
an
struggle.
F1 car?
I'm just trying to get it
Just
straight.
faster than any other car.
So you are in a basically nuclear situation, and you have to
Exactly.
defuse it, and then try and
Basically, you're in George Square last weekend.
You've got to get from one end of George Square to the other. That's what you've got to do.
Yes.
so your job is to get
without any firecrackers.
just before nightfall.
Sure. Yeah, that's it, James.
Nice.
Well, we have to defuse a bomb. I think that's the purpose of the thing.
James, the movies on Netflix, you can have a nosy at the other streaming
Yes.
services are available, people.
I haven't actually seen the movie, but I have read that it is quite interesting. So that might be the watch tonight.
Why did nobody pick Steven Gerrard? Because he knows how to manage zombies.
Aren't the zombies
point,
the fans,
James.
not the players?
Extremely good.
Yeah.
Anyways, that brings us to the end of our podcast. Please do keep watching us and subscribe on YouTube. Watch us on Facebook, Twitter,
Spotify.
YouTube, and
Available
you
on
can listen.
Spotify and
You
Apple
can
Music.
also listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcast and other podcast things.
Providers.
Can you? Can you? I'm not
To be
really sure. I
fair,
think
I
James is the
don't
one
think
who's
many
organised that.
people actually make it to this point of the podcast. So.
But
Hi,
yeah.
Mum. No, wait, she doesn't watch either.
But yeah, thank
Hi,
you
Joy.
Thank you very much for joining us today, and
Bruce.
see you next time. The Sports Art Podcast.
Bruce, you made me do this far.